Hi everyone, today is handstand drill. A little less technical, a little less talk, and a lot more action. It's a play day per se. Here's what we're gonna look at, some of my very favorite handstand drills. 1, using the wall to correct your banana back. It's not hands down, feet to the wall, it's hands down, butt to the wall. We're gonna take a look at that. 2, putting the brakes on, realizing how much power you hold in your fingertips, starting to look at them in that sense and that they are our brakes and they are our pushback. 3, upside down squat. That is different than tuck handstand. Upside down lunge, same. It is different than a stag handstand. And lastly, we're gonna look at some of the best starter shapes while you are on your handstand journey. Okay, let's start with at the beginning with our using the wall to get rid of that banana back. This is typically what I see people do when they practice their handstand at the wall. They do hands down and feet up, and this is where they stay. I'll tell you the first thing that's wrong here is the gaze is way too far forward. It's bringing you into a back bend. The first thing you need to do is bring that gaze between the heels of the hand. Notice right off the bat how much that changes the shape. It all starts with the gaze. Second, you don't want your feet to the wall, your heels of the feet to the wall. You want your butt to the wall. So bend the legs, place your butt on the wall, and tuck your tailbone to get there. And then bring your feet away from the wall. Squeeze the thighs, and this is where you want to train. Now we can even start pressing into those fingertips and realizing how much doing that changes the rest of the body. If you scoot your hands close enough to the wall and you do all of those steps and then press into the fingertips, you might even hover your butt off the wall. So that's your first drill to correct that banana back. Remember, it's not feet to the wall, it's butt to the wall. Take those feet off the wall, but first bend the legs and place the butt against it. Once the feet are then off the wall, squeeze the thighs together. That's going to engage the core and start to connect all of the pieces and all of the dots down the line. Remember, the gaze is incredibly important. It's so important in every aspect of what we do in life. Have that close fixed gaze because we know that that's essential, especially when we're beginning. But don't make it too far forward because where your gaze goes, the body will follow, and this starts a bend in the spine. If you're looking too far forward, you're also looking in the place that you're afraid of going. And what are you doing? You're attracting your fear. Move your gaze, it's still nearby, but back in between the heels of the hand. Drill number 2. Using your fingertips, we just started this, as brakes, realizing how much power you have inside of your fingertips. The purpose of this drill is for you to push back through your fingertips. That is the entire purpose of this drill. So when you set those hands, start with that buoyancy in the hands and a really good base of support throughout them. We're springing forward, pushing back through the fingertips, and we're landing with bent limbs to absorb shock. Remember, the point of this drill is to start to realize how much power you have in the fingertips. That's the whole point of the drill. So make sure that that's what you're doing as you come forward. You're pushing back, starting at the fingertips. When you do this enough, not only are you building all of these skills and strength and awareness and realizing where your body is at in space, proprioception, realizing where your center of mass is as it travels through the air, and starting to put that base of support responsibility into your hands, but you're also starting to realize how much just pressing into your little fingertips can control everything upstream. Next, upside down squat. So a lot of times we say tuck handstand, and then we get into a handstand that looks a little bit like this. But I don't want you to do that. That's actually a hard shape. It's more of like an egg-like shape. I want you to do an upside down squat. So start with doing your yogi squat and balancing on the balls of your feet, putting your hands in the air. Now your base of support is your balls of the feet, just like your hands are going to be the base of support when we take this upside down. So take a little roadmap of where your body positions to now align the center of mass above the balls of the feet. This is going to be your easiest structure to align your center of mass over your hands as well. So we take that upside down. Not only is this a more centered place to balance the body, a better way to center that mass above the base of support, but it's more stable, and it starts to train you to get the hips over the shoulders and over the head. It's controlled because we still have the legs forward, bent and forward. This crease right here, and almost like this invisible string that only lets you move the quad away from the belly so much, will keep you from teeter-tottering, losing control over the pelvis, and flying out backwards. There's a lot of other little details, but you can go back and look at those. We've been over them many times, like sandwich compression, co-contractions. But just imagine that little string here doesn't let this go too far, because we need that hip not to be an extension. Extension is a back bend. That's where we start that wavering and that teeter-tottering. Lock it in, flexion of the hip, this little invisible string connecting the two. And remember, it's an upside down squat, not a tuck. See how hard it is to balance a tuck on my feet? Okay, it's not impossible, but it's more difficult. Let's just start with getting that center of mass in a most stable, controlled way, and get comfortable with getting the hips over the shoulders and the head. See this invisible string between my belly and my quads? It's not gonna let my quads go too high. Let it rest, let them rest, let them rest. If the hips are far enough back, the quads can just rest forward. What happens if you don't? This, and you come out. The next one has the same concept. So instead of thinking of an upside down or a stag handstand like this, I want you to start thinking about an upside down lunge, okay? A stag lunge, so that back knee is grounded. So get into this position and start to feel the stability here. You can even come on the balls of the feet and hover that knee. It's gonna be a lot of hard work for this back leg, but you start to feel the stability here. Then we ingrain that. We ingrain that right here and now. Then we take that upside down. An upside down lunge, okay? And then you find that stability. It's the same thing. This leg has that invisible string from the quad to the pelvis. And if that pelvis is in the correct position above the shoulders, above the head, you can just take this leg, bend it, and rest it down, okay? So start thinking about upside down squat and an upside down lunge. Practice the breaks, the power within the fingertips. Do your handstand at the wall, but it's not hands to the ground and feet to the wall. It's hands to the ground, butt to the wall. Get that butt comfortably there by shifting the gaze back. So coming out of that extension of the spine, that transforms everything upstream of your upside down, downstream of your right side up. Take bent legs, press the butt to the wall, then straighten the legs away and squeeze the thighs. That's gonna connect inner thighs, adductors, pelvic floor, up to the co-contraction. And it all stacks together, becoming a whole body event. Now, lastly, let's look at some really good freestanding starter shapes for you to try. When you're trying these freestanding, that means away from the wall. 1, do not launch. This is not controlled. You don't know where you're gonna land. You don't know how much momentum is gonna take you, how far. Make it a controlled environment. We control the environment by setting the foundation. 1, set the foundation. Create strong pillars, table legs, to then set the table upon. Set the foundation, control the momentum. Set the foundation, control the momentum, even if it's incremental. Even if it's little by little, control the momentum. Yes, you have a propel leg, but don't let it be out of control. It's not out of control propel, and it's also not acting alone. There's another piece of the puzzle, this dynamic interplay of opposing forces. This bottom leg, the one that's not propelling and lifted, is pushing away. When you think about pushing and propelling together, then we can split the work, okay? This one's the propel, this is the push. Split the work. Split the work. Divvy it up, work together. Also, your legs are now scissors. Your torso is the handle. What happens when you open scissors? It changes the metal, right? The scissor part, the cutting part. As the handle opens and closes, it changes what happens with the limbs of the scissors. It's the same. If we were to open and close the scissors, it would change the handles, the core. We're transmitting forces. They work together, okay? I want you to imagine your torso is the core, your hips, your pelvis is the scissor handles. Your legs are the scissor blades. As one foot pushes and the other propels, pull the handles, the hips, together and shift them. Shift them up to pull the blades, okay? Think about it like this. Here's the handles. You go and shift them back, and shift them back. So the handles are then gonna land above the shoulders. Take a look, okay? Equal parts push, propel, scissor handles, scissor blades. Pull the handles together to shift the hips back. Here's my little blades now. Controlled by the pelvis handles, okay? And just like the handles have this point that is like that skewer that goes through, that screw that keeps everything centered, that's right here, okay? Don't let go of that control, that center screw that controls it, or else you get that wavering in the pelvis. Pull the handles together to lift the scissor legs up. Okay, now let's talk about some fun shapes to try freestanding with those elements, right? So don't have that gaze too far forward. Use the power of the brakes within the fingertips. Scissor handles at the pelvis. Equal parts push and propel. We take all of that up into some fun shapes to begin with. The first one, lightning bolt. So this leg is the same concept as our upside down lunge and upside down squat. Let that quad rest towards the belly. Know that there's a string that doesn't allow it to lift beyond a certain position. That's where we stay. That's nice and controlled. Lightning bolt, same shape, but it's not folded in. Start with the folded in one. Once you get control of that quad to belly, we don't have that wavering pelvis, then we can take on L shape. Same thing, right? But now really think about those scissor legs. Watch me pull the handles of my pelvis. Oops. See how that happens? Pull the handles of the pelvis. When I have it undone, I can hardly stay up, okay? And if that gaze is too far forward, it starts to throw off all the stacking. Keep that gaze between the heels of the hand. There's your handstand drill starter practice, a fun way for you to play. Just those few drills are a lot of work on the hands and the wrists and the body. So give them a shot, but don't overdo it. Always save energy to come out safely. Land with bent, buoyant limbs. Walk it out if you need to. Adjust the upper body. Don't look too far forward or you're gonna attract what you fear and you're gonna start a bend in the spine that we're not actually trying to have. Okay, butt to wall, not feet to wall. Upside down squats. Think about center of mass over the base of support. Lunge. The fingertips are your brakes. Land with bent, buoyant limbs to absorb shock. And have fun. Handstanding is playful and fun. Enjoy it. Be safe. Every single time you fall, you learn something. You get stronger in some way. So embrace every single fall. It is not a fail.